Welcome to the Fearless Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we share the incredible stories of Canada's boldest business owners. I'm your host, Cindy Chang, founder of Evolve Consulting Co. Join us as we explore the stories behind why these entrepreneurs started their businesses, the challenges that they faced, and how they leaned into their fears. So whether you're an entrepreneur or just love inspiring stories, let's take a deep dive into their journeys. Let's go. Hi, Joe.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited.
Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to have you here on Fearless Entrepreneurs. Let me do a quick intro because your story is incredible.
Thank you.
Joseph Apps is a driven entrepreneur and technology expert in computer systems technology and software development. In 2015, he co-founded his first business, HD Electronics, a thriving electronics refurbishment business in downtown Hamilton. His experience there highlighted the need for reliable tech support, leading him to establish Joe Apps Technology Support in 2016, helping small businesses with leading technology support at an affordable cost. He's an active member of the Hamilton, Burlington, and Oakville Chamber of Commerce. This is true, and this is how I met Joe. Deeply committed to serving his community with initiatives like Food for Kids Halton Bottle Drive and Halton's Women Place Gala. Joseph has been named Young Entrepreneur of the Year by Burlington Chamber of Commerce in 2022. His exceptional leadership has also earned his company, Joe Apps Technology Support, the first prestigious First Ontarian Awards, distinguishing it among top businesses in Ontario. Welcome, Joe, to the show. Woo! That is incredible, Joe. When you hear about all those accomplishments, how does it make you feel?
I think about the years. I was like, oh yeah, it's this year, that year. It makes me feel so lucky to have a great team behind me. And I think the secret is the people that you empower yourself with. We've been so lucky to have this wonderful team that takes care of so much of the stuff that makes this just look so easy to do. Attend events, be in the community, or just be there for others.
You are so closely knit to your team. If you follow Joe Apps and your company on social, you're always with your crew or your people, and these are your trusted team that you really built.
Really is, and we're lucky to have that leadership team, but also a great operations team and sales team as well that keeps us going, moving forward, and creating that next generation of technology for people.
You and I met at a chamber event.
Yeah,
it was a Burlington Chamber of Commerce a breakfast where you were a keynote speaker on technology, which it was a really fascinating segment.
It was a fun one. We had a great conversation about AI and security, which so many people forget is it's okay to turn on AI, but how are we keeping it secure as well? Yeah. Where is our information going in these chat GPTs or co-pilots or anything like that? Turn them on, but how do you turn them off?
I can't wait to pick your brain about that because I'm sure lots of people have questions about that and how they keep their own information safe, or how do they keep their company safe, and entrepreneurs starting their journey not thinking about a lot of the things you had mentioned in security and technology nowadays. So Joe, take us all the way back. Take us all the way back when I heard your origin story about how you started your businesses, and you came from really humble roots. So take us back to how you started it all.
Yeah, so I've always loved being an entrepreneur. As a kid on the street, we had a candy store, me and my next door neighbor. We'd sit there with signs on the corner. Well, we got other kids to sit there with signs on the corner while we managed the store. We've always thought about it from an entrepreneurial perspective. Nice. And really did it that way in elementary school, which was really cool to get the learning in early, have that friendship business, learn about partnerships, because good, the bad, and the ugly can come with partnerships. It's really all what you put in and how accountable you are to it. Then in high school, I had a skate shop out of my parents' garage, which was a fun one. So my parents have always been super humble and believing in me and really helping me out. So always appreciate them. We had a skate shop and we would fix up skateboards, sell bearings, things, put new trucks on it, grip tape. It was just a fun hobby. And then I progressed into going to Mohawk College, and my friend asked me if I wanted to start a tech store downtown Hamilton. And this is when you could repair technology, iPhone 4s and all of. Now you break your iPhone and you might as well buy a new one. It's like 2 to 3 to repair it, and it's $100 a month, and I get a new phone for 2 years. So it makes the decision quite easier. So we would repair cell phones, refurbish electronics. Hamilton also didn't have the investment it has in the city, communities today. We didn't have the beautiful McMaster building down there. So we had a lot of low income people too. So working in their budgets for the IPTV services as well, we sold at that time. So kind of learning service businesses and uptime, which becomes so important in our business now because people don't want to be down. We were very lucky to, with me and my friend while we were going to Mohawk College, to have that store downtown Hamilton and work out through there. And this is where I learned the fun of partnerships. Unfortunately, we didn't see eye to eye on everything, it didn't always work out. Partnerships can be so fun, and
Very
partnerships
tricky.
are like a relationship, right? You both have to give and take, and his school was more important. Mine was the business. So while I was there and having difficulty with school because I wasn't able to attend, he was at school doing well. So it became difficult, and I just saw the writing on the wall. And if other things are always going to be prioritized in this shop, what's my point here? What do? I own 30% of this. I'd rather have 100% of something a little more. I loved it so much, and I remember each month we were making like $300, and it would still put a smile on my face. So I went from a 9 to 5 I was at Geek Squad Best Buy, and I went from a 9 to 5 there with a cozy income to making $300 working like 7 to 11, and I was so much more happier, right?
Happy.
Just getting that. It wasn't even the money at that point. It was servicing people, making sure they were happy, and just servicing them through technology. That's always how I've wanted to service people, is through technology and the advancement of that in their life. Brings me to where we get to today. So at that time, I had a girlfriend. Her mom was an accountant, so I started working for her mom, doing some stuff. People would walk in because it's an accounting business. Oh, what's he doing? Oh, technology. I had my little office in the corner there. She was very lucky to rent me a little space. I was doing tech support out of there, put my business cards out of there, and I just kept going to more and more businesses. And then I joined the Chamber of Commerce, and that's where it really took a hit. I remember walking in those rooms, and there was just tons of older people, and it was intimidating at that time because there was 200 old white men turned around and looked at me, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? Where's the diversity? I jumped in, I started helping more and more people, started building a name, and just being a trusted technology provider. In our field, no one's looking for a new IT person. You're not shopping for new shoes, or you can just call up any plumber, things like that people tend to do. IT is a real trust in the business.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a transactional part, you're still really trusting that person. So we've done a lot to build that trust over the years through being on CHCH, to giving webinars, to talking in different chambers, and really making ourselves a technology partner for the communities that we work in.
I love it. We have to unpack so much in there because
100%.
you came from such entrepreneurial roots, like ever since you were little. And were your parents entrepreneurs?
No, my parents weren't entrepreneurs, but they've done always everything in their power to do a hard work ethic. So my mom taught me all the customer service. She was at the Gap Kids Mapleview Mall as a manager for years. So actually, when people still call our phone now, if people had shopped at Gap in that era or anything, we've had quite a few clients go, did your mom work at the Gap? It's a very unique voice. So it's very cool. And it was much more when we had personal clients as well, because our call volume was much more. It's with business clients now, but it was really cool to have that. And she's always been a pillar and inside the community and helping out. And then my dad's always worked for big companies, doing the corporate grind, keeping his head above water, because that's all you can do in the corporate grind, that day-to-day race. Just keep your head above water, either move to the next step or try and stay in the step you're in, and just make sure that you're just as important enough not to make those level of cuts, because you're just a number at that point.
Yeah, that's really the reason why I left corporate, is because you're working so hard and you're putting your heart and soul into everything, but you're not dictating the vision. You're not determining what it is that you see. You can't build it. You can't grow it. Or if you do build it and you grow it, you're just a number at the end of the day.
It might be taken from you. That's the scary part, is that control part. And some people are fine not having that control and going through that, and it works real well for them. I've had friends with really successful careers but for me, it's always like, how do I break that box? And if you went to school with me as a kid, you would agree to that. I was the one out in the hallway or getting in trouble or suspended, because I've never, I like rules, but the authority part of the rules, I think, have always been difficult for me, right?
Is that what you were like as a kid, Joe?
Yes, exactly. Always pushing that next box, always pushing my teachers. But it's so cool, because to this day, being local in the community and stuff, I still see the teachers, and they're like, I knew you'd do something for yourself. At the time, you pissed me off. At this point in time, we knew you'd do good. It's really cool to see that and have that. I'm sure there's some teachers that still don't think that, but
they're like, oh, great.
For the most part, right?
Your face again.
Damn it, I see him on the news now. We can't get rid of him.
Can't get rid of this guy, right? And so I think you and I are very similar in that sense, where when I was little, I sold origami on the street. I thought it was
cool.
I thought it was the coolest thing.
I think it's the coolest things to
I
sell.
still might do it,
That's
you know?
awesome.
So I used to do that too. And I think entrepreneurs gravitate towards each other, and they have very similar childhoods, right? And same as you, I always liked structure. I was really good in school and I followed the rules, but there were so many times where I just wanted to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
That's what we do naturally. That's our personalities. We're just driven to disrupt.
100%. Because if we're not disrupting, what difference are we making? I think that's what makes entrepreneurs difference, is that difference that they create, whether that's through a vision, whether that's through getting stuff done, right? Whether it's through balancing a million things, whatever your strength might be, it's that difference that you have.
Take me back to when you had that corner office and that accounting firm. So you weren't attached to the business. You were just renting a small space in that accounting firm. Is that right?
Exactly. Just doing IT out of there. She was my first client. Her name's Cheryl, S&D Accounting. Give her a shout out away there. Thanks, Cheryl. She put up with me, kept me in that office, and allowed us to grow and get to where we are now. So we've been through 3 offices in the last few years. One flooded completely, one burnt down, and then we're in our current office now. It's been quite a bit of a whirlwind of an experience. Yeah, our building didn't have the best roof when we were on the top floor. Then we moved to the bottom floor, and unfortunately there was a massive building fire that can be found on the news there in Halton 2 years ago now. It was like a $1.2 million worth of damage fire. We were involved in that. So were 5 of our clients. So we had to perform some quick disaster recovery for all of our clients. And some believed in us more than others. So some had better plans than others, that means. So some were right up and going. Some it took a little more time. We got everybody rocked and rolling and moved to that next direction. So we were really lucky to be able to not only save our business, but 5 other businesses.
Within that building,
they were our clients then. So we had to not only save our business, but save theirs as well, which was a really fun one to do at the same time. So not only are you in panic mode, but you have 5 other people in panic mode as well, because everyone relies on technology, right? Where are your files? Half the computers are burned to the ground. What do we do?
I feel like technology is a bit like insurance, right? You never really know how important security and having a team like yours is until like some shit hits the fan.
100%, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what we're selling, is that when it happens. And now 5 years ago, if it happens, right, at this point, it's when. Like it is so rampant, so bad. AI has just increased it so much. It's not if it's going to happen to you, it's when it does. What are you looking like when it happens? Do you have backups? Do you have different passwords on accounts? If it happens to you and they hack one password on your Netflix account, whatever, right? But if they get the Netflix account, that's now your bank password and your email password, and they start going through, oh crap, we got a problem here, right? So that's the big difference.
Joe, I probably shouldn't be saying this on the podcast, but I have one password for everything. That's not good, right? Oh my God.
That's not good. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers have like my dog's name, 1, 2 exclamation mark, or like daughter, son, brother. So everybody at home on the podcast now is I'm online too, right? What are we posting? Oh, my daughter, my dog, my this, my that. Okay, let's put a 1, 2 there. Let's put an exclamation mark. And next thing we know, we're in. I know we have like 8 users sitting there like red face right now, like changing their passwords as they're watching this. Like, oh my God.
Right after the podcast, I'll be changing all of my passwords.
Use a password manager, 1Password or something like that. I'm plugging them. We don't personally use it. We have our own password manager for businesses, which is unique to Joe Apps and like having a managed plan or businesses, but that's a whole different thing. But
password
for personal,
manager.
Password manager is the best thing you can do. And a VPN, like NordVPN or something, 2 great things to do. NordVPN's for when you're traveling. So hitting that airport, hitting those public hotels, anything like that.
Right.
Still work safely though. Or don't enjoy your vacation. That's what I would definitely recommend. But it's hard as an entrepreneur. I still haven't done it. So I'll get there. I'll get there.
So yours is I love my mom, 1, 2, 3, exclamation mark.
It's more like a story. Like my mom took me to, no, just kidding. But those are great ones too. Is some people use stories and passphrases as well. So although it's funny to use, those passphrases can be great things or great memories that you put in and use and make them unique too. A fun twist on that one. But I recommend a password manager. Make them 32 digits and crazy. You remember one great master password and throw that into all your devices.
For those password manager things, what if you can't access your app and you really need your password? You're in a remote area. I know this is like if you were stranded on a desert kind of question, but it makes me nervous that I don't have control of my passwords. Is that
100%
common?
understand. Oh, control part
Okay.
is common for everyone,
Yeah.
especially users who've been using the technology for a while. I find the Gen Zs are much more reliant on these systems and giving up
Yes.
information and putting in there. Millennials, Gen X is definitely a lot more spread back. So, yeah,
Right.
I totally get that fear. I think it comes with the fear of everything. Convenience over usability for scalability, for
Yeah.
security. I always recommend, though, you keep a printout of those passwords. Like we print out and
Right.
still keep physical copies of all our passwords and then shred them every month just to make sure
When
we
you're
still,
changing.
if all else fails, we still have access to all that client information locked up, kept in a security box. But all that fun physical stuff is what we really forget when we go digital, right? We don't put the
Yes.
security box, we don't put in a lockbox, we don't do all of that, right? So that's where we
It's
come in a lot, is
true.
how do we re-secure that stuff that we've so quickly thrown to the cloud. Before, we didn't want people to see our family photos. That's why we put them in a drawer or stuff like that. Now we
And now
freely
it's
upload them to
in the cloud.
Facebook and then get upset when we find ourselves on some ad for Macy's. But it's like,
Right.
you gave up your photo to the internet, though.
Does that happen?
Yeah, a lot. I think I told you at the event that Chewy.com story where the lady was on Chewy.com and she was shopping for dog food, and she goes and orders the dog food, gets the dog food, and then 3 or 4 weeks later gets sent 2 pictures of her dogs, hand-painted pictures of her dogs. That's incredible, but she'd never sent Chewy.com the pictures of her dogs.
Yeah.
So where the hell did they get it? Well, they got it from her Instagram profile, which was open, which is online. Now, that's cute because it's your dog, but what if someone started to do that for your
Your
daughter? Or like,
kids.
you order from
Yeah.
Huggies. Yeah, it's a cute picture, but wait, crap, Huggies
How
can
did
see.
you
You know
get
what I
it?
mean? It's creepy, right? So where do we draw the line on? Because it's an animal, it's fine, but it's it's very,
Line. Yeah.
very difficult, right? And there's some really interesting stuff coming out in the UK about actually putting kids online. So parents actually have to pay a percentage of any money made online to kids into a trust now,
Yeah.
for the kind of these influencer stuff that's growing up, but also data protection of kids. Because
Yeah.
I know it's just, posting your kid online, but when they get older and the consent, it gets very interesting. So
Gets
now they're in
very
this
tricky.
huge debate of like, how do you securely put this online? So security is always an afterthought,
Wow.
is what I'm trying to get at with this. We don't think ahead to it.
For sure. How do you and your company stay in front of, because it's moving so quickly. It's like moving at lightning speed. In recruitment, I talk to a lot of IT professionals, and after you get to a certain age, like it's hard to keep up with the technology all
Oh
the
my
time.
God.
So how do you and your team stay ahead of it?
And we were so lucky. So we were at Microsoft training in
Yeah.
Vancouver, beautiful BC. We were talking about that
That's right.
earlier. We're lucky to be there and be involved with Microsoft and these big companies always giving us the training. But it's funny that
Right.
you say IT people wanted to keep up, is there was a plethora of people who had been in the industry for 20 plus years, because we're learning about cloud computing and all that. And they're like, I really don't want to learn this stuff again. And I was like, I get that,
Yeah.
because I said to them, I will probably be there in 20 plus years because we're learning so much, right? In the
Yeah.
time that I've stepped in, we were still siloed in the office. So you had your data server, you would access there, etc. You would log in, you might have a VPN, might not. People didn't know that. Now you have SharePoints, now you're uploading here, now Copilot's going through them, now you have cloud computing. And this has just been in the last 5 years, right? And now we're
sure.
putting AI
AI.
on top of all of this.
Yeah.
And it's constantly evolving. And it's so much fun to learn, but there's also too much information at one
Yeah.
point. And how can you be a master at something when technology's demanding everything?
Yeah.
So we're really working with our team to tailor what we see as the next generation, and we see that in the cloud. So we're putting heavy investment in the cloud, training in the cloud, everything like that. AI and what we call modern workspaces.
Okay.
So those hybrid workspaces, those Google workspaces, Microsoft workspaces, linking Copilot, Gemini to them, getting people ready for maybe that's AR, VR adoption in their organizations,
Right.
which hasn't taken off yet, but I'm sure we will see, especially with
yeah.
this divide between wanting people to come back in the office, people not wanting to come in. If you can get them in a headset at home and have them walking around virtually, you're going to create some of that connectivity again.
Experience, yeah.
And you might create some of that creativity flow that's really being lost.
Yeah.
Because, people can still enter in spreadsheets and stuff like that, but you're killing creativity without people in offices. And there's lots
Sure.
and lots of data that back that, right? So,
Wow. I think you covered so much there. And I feel like AR, VR had its moment where it was like on the precipice of breaking through, and then COVID happened. So no one was interacting with anybody anymore, which they were doing a lot of AR, VR at events and experiences. And so now it's interesting to hear you say that it's coming back or it's still on the trajectory to build connectivity between people and in companies? Because it went up, but then it took like a big nosedive down, would
And
you
that's
say?
kind of I forget what the graph's called exactly off the top of
Yeah.
my head right now, but I think it's like the rate of adoption, right? You always have your
Yes.
you have your early adopters, and you have the general, then you have the mass acceptance where everyone accepts it. We didn't get to the mass acceptance part. I think there's a few problems there from like a technology standpoint.
Yeah.
Data access, right? If we had 5G, 6G everywhere and we could access the data speeds we had right now at every part of the world, it would be a lot more take on because we could put better images on. I think the knockoff pixelated like 90s guys walking around is still a bit hard to separate that like
Yeah.
reality versus. So once people look realer and everything like that, like we're seeing Meta start to do and things like that,
Yeah.
and we have proper internet to support it, we have the proper technology in the glasses and everything's caught up, which is what AI is doing right now.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more adoption, because if we could do something like this and it feels as real and
Yeah.
we're just in headsets and it records, does all that, and we take away a lot of this technology, why wouldn't we?
Right,
So
right.
it makes it so much easier, and then you don't have to commute, which is a problem nowadays. We have to go over the Skyway Bridge to get, we both
It's
came from
horrible.
Burlington today,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we definitely understand the trouble, right?
Yeah.
It's not getting better.
No.
We don't have the roads to support it, so how do we improve
the
that?
infrastructure definitely needs to improve,
Exactly.
right?
Or does the technology improve and
Right.
you support it through that, right?
But do you feel, I feel like some companies just aren't like, I think COVID pushed companies into remote directions a lot more, but a lot of people are slowly starting to push back and say, come back into the office. We need the face-to-face interaction, which I get it. Some businesses do require that, but at the same time, I feel like we've moved forward in that advancement, but then we're regressing back a little bit too, right? So it's like a push and pull all the time.
Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
hard part. And I think like companies are having such a hard time getting people back in
Yes.
the office. And I think that's the difficulty. So how do you bridge that hybrid in office and work that all together? And that's what, these amazing programs like Microsoft Teams and Zoom and stuff like that are working
Yeah.
on, right? But there's still the gap of, Zoom fatigue or team fatigue.
Yeah.
But we did also have that with meetings as well. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
double-edged
true.
sword to look at it that way.
Was the vision always really clear for you on developing Joe App's technology, or was it a trial and error until you found your business plan?
Definitely, I would say trial and error. And
Right.
I remember people saying you should have a business plan for the longest time. Until we took on in our business EOS, we didn't really have, the vision's always been there, and I don't want to discount that. The
Yeah.
vision's always been to advance lives through technology, but how were we going to do it wasn't there. What's the roadmap to get there? How do we, which is our 10-year target now, help
Yeah.
5,000 innovative businesses with technology? We
Right.
didn't have that kind of vision and focus that we have now, right? So we really gave that vision focus, I think is the best way to put it, to
Yeah.
get to those next steps of where we want to be in the next 10 years. So
Right.
yeah, no, fake it till I made it for sure, and had so many crazy experiences in doing that, from a good friend of mine taking me for $15,000 through
Yeah.
technology, through a bunch of hardware that I went and installed on site from, all the way out in London, Ontario, which for me personally is my least favorite drive of all in Ontario. I don't know why. I just don't enjoy heading out that way and driving it personally. So I was going out there for 6 to 8 weekends, working
Oh
on the
my
weekend while I was
gosh.
working. So basically the team would work the Monday to Friday, then I'd go out and do installing with this guy. We were setting up at the time, it was when the weed places were new and you could
Yeah.
set them up. They needed all the cameras and the crazy fancy technology.
Right.
So put all that in there, paid for all the technology, and then he was the sub and never paid me. And he was a good
No
friend of mine. So
way.
like that was a really hard lesson, because I didn't think to do contracts. Right now we do contracts with
Right.
everybody
Contracts
to make sure
for
it's there.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Contracts are one thing that I wish I'd learned earlier, got told in my journey.
I think that's one thing that I appreciate about you, is you really developed everything and learned through all the hard lessons on your own. Not a lot of normal companies go through a flood and a fire, but that forces you to look at that challenge as, how do we protect our clients more, which I think puts you at an advantage where I don't think a lot of technology companies have been through fires or floods or major disasters within their buildings. Because do you host your server on site? Do you host your server off site? You're forced to make all these decisions that I'm pretty sure were very stressful at the time.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Or we were thankful that we made the decisions, or we invested in that, or we did that stuff, not because we knew it was going to happen. We just
Yeah.
knew if it did, we owed this responsibility to make sure that this was taken care of. We needed to invest in this to get to the next level. Exactly as you said, it makes us sharper. Disaster recovery plans, we know they're real and we know they're so important. And that's why might be a pester to some of our clients and they might laugh at this and hear it, but we always review them. We always want to do the technology business reviews to make sure that we're aligning with this. They're prepared because, yeah, it might not happen this year, it might not happen next year, but when it does, let's make sure it's as little damage as possible.
Right.
Because at this point in time, damage is going to get in. We can't say it's inevitable.
Yeah.
You're going to get out of it. But what is going to happen when they do, and how can we mitigate that and have the least amount of it?
And I think that's what a lot of companies do need to hear, because they don't think about that. You don't think about disaster relief plans.
I wouldn't. It's not fun, especially when you got to think of stuff like P&Ls, cash flow, marketing, sales, getting the product out to market. It gets hard.
Yeah. It's like thinking about divorce before you get married.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
100%.
What do I have to do to protect myself,
What's the escape
right?
plan? Yeah, exactly.
What's the exit strategy?
Yeah, and no one
right?
wants to think that way because you just go in thinking it's going to happen. But unfortunately, it's like getting into a car. You need to get that insurance because even if you don't hit someone and someone hits you, you got to get it taken care of, right?
Yeah. And so you started this business, you're growing it yourself. You were an entrepreneur in that sense where you wore the sales hat, you were building the framework, you were driving the vision, you were doing the technology, you were the technician. You wore a lot of different hats, like many entrepreneurs who are just starting out, right? Yeah. At any point, did you get kind of discouraged through the process, or were you like, what am I doing here? What is my vision? It's unclear. And then how did you push through that?
I feel like people, if they don't tell you they get discouraged at some point, they're not doing it hard enough. If you're doing it hard enough, you're bound to get discouraged at some point in time just because it's confusing. You're fighting sometimes an uphill battle that, you know, even with your team, like they see the end of the tunnel, they see the vision, but you're still the one that's got to get them up there and give that motivation to go. So it can get lonely, right? And it can be, what the heck am I doing sometimes? But at the end of the day, anytime I get to that feeling, I know I'm about to head over that mountain and get to the next spot, right? Every time it gets more and more difficult, I know it's just a hill or a ceiling. We use ceilings in our business. I know we're about to break that next ceiling and go to the next thing. And sometimes the ceilings come a little too quickly than I like. It's a week to week. I prefer every 90 days to 6 months that they come, but sometimes they get us back to back, and we just keep smashing through those ceilings and getting to that next level. And any challenge that's brought to us only makes us bigger and better, that we've found. It's always a learning experience, no matter how darn expensive it might get.
Oh my goodness. That's something I talk to entrepreneurs about all the time, is investments into your business. What do you think was one of the biggest first investments that you made into your business that really helped you pivot?
Probably recently has been EOS. We took on the entrepreneurial operating system. We've been doing really good with EOS. We put a lot into it, though. It's created a lot of EOS is an operating system for the people in your business. So we obviously run a lot of operating systems in our business, being Joe apps from Windows, Microsoft to Apple to Linux and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this was a people operating system. So also we run lots of software, but how do you manage the people? How do you make that work? So it takes creating what they call a vision and traction together. So they have what's called a VTO, so a vision traction organizer. So what's your vision? What's that 10 year? Bring it down to 3 years, bring it down to 1 year, bring it down to 90 days. What are the rocks you're going to do to get there in the 90 days?
Yeah.
So the rocks are over the 12 weeks. What are you going to work on to really get to that next step? And how are the to-dos going to get you there? So they do level 10 meetings. So you have a leadership or department meeting each week. And it really creates a structure on how to run the business, which I found crazy at first. I was like, meetings, we can't even meet our deadlines or get things done. How are we going to take an hour and a half out of the week to meet and then do it at the department level too? But it's just so much good structure and so much good confrontation with the team, but clear confrontation. Fighting for what the vision is, fighting for our core values to make sure that everything we're doing aligns. Because especially in the technology world, so many shiny things pop up. Like we used to do cabling, right? But we gave up that whole department. Now we partner with a company out of Oakville called Running Cables, and that's worked so much better for both of us, right? Because they do what they're good at, which is running cables. We do what we're good at, Joe Apps technology. We might not have to be the specialist at everything, but as long as we partner with the right people, we can create that experience.
I think that's a really good pivot that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle to make, because a lot of entrepreneurs sit there and they think, I need to bring on a partner, or I need to bring on a resource, or I need to bring on a staff, or I need to bring in more investment within my business that maybe is not the right time, or it is too much of an investment and it doesn't really make sense. Whereas you can forge partnerships or collaborations where someone else can be the expert in that. Both parties win, both parties get a cut, which can be very nice.
Right? We're both chamber members too, so it works out really well, linking it all around back to like community and connection. But yeah, EOS has really just been that. We like to think of it as the plane. So the plane, if you fly or don't fly, has what's called a 6-pack. So the 6 gauges that you need. So we had 2 of the 6-pack in there, but someone either drank the other 4 or took the other 4 from us. Now we put them back into the plane, right? So the plane has guidance. We know where it's going and we know where it needs to land in those 10 years. So how do we keep the plane repaired, rocking and rolling around the world for the next 10 years so we can reach that goal, right?
Right. EOS. Okay, that's very
EOS,
interesting.
Entrepreneurial Operating System. If you're looking in for it for your business, reach out to me. I got a bunch of traction books that I love to give out. So that's actually what I do with me now, because I used to love meeting absolutely everybody and it was an amazing thing, but it's a lot of time that's taken out too. And I meet a lot of young entrepreneurs who are like, oh, I want to get rich, but I want to work 9 to 5. And it's very discouraging. Well, that's not going to work.
You've done that grind. You've had Joe Apps now for how many years?
8 years this September.
8. Woo! Happy 8-year anniversary. And what were some of your most pivotal hires when you first started the business? And who did you invest in that really turned your business around?
Shout out to Eric. Eric is our right-hand man who takes care of absolutely everything. I could not make the magic work without Eric. You are absolutely amazing. So Eric would be our big one. We have Robert and Sam as well, who are absolutely amazing. Robert's our director of sales and Samantha's our director of administration. So many people that have came into the organization as well. Wakas, our director of operations, has just taken us to this next level, and he keeps making sure that anything falls through the cracks, from onboarding, offboarding, bringing clients in. We're taking care of them. We're being attentive to, because we've been lucky. We've had massive growth, and that comes with the pitfalls. We are not superheroes. We're not immune to anything, and that's been very hard for me to adapt to. Why can't you all be AI? They know how much I would love if we were all AI, right? The big thing is you are human as well. So we're taking those learning experiences, we're learning, and we're moving through them. And it would be a shame not to shout out Nick, Jonathan, and all of our other amazing team members. Woo-hoo! We have so many great team members, Chantel, Amber, and Colmy as well, and Alejandro, who works for us in Venezuela as well. So we're very lucky to have Alejandro connect people with technology too, which is super cool. So he helps us manage all of our back end and helps us get all of that stuff done. So we met him through industry events, and he's come to work for us from that way. So it's been really sweet to be able to connect other communities with technology and teach them and advance them as well. So.
Yeah, look at you. You're just a leader. You know what? You just always include your team on everything. You're a leader who leads, but is always like leading with your team. And I think that's very special. And not a lot of entrepreneurs lead that way. So you should be really proud of yourself for that.
Thank you.
Of course. Tell me a little bit about joining the chamber really catapulted you into that next level in terms of meeting the right people, but also being immersed into an organization where there's a lot of established people. You're just a part of so many. There's not one social event that I see that your face doesn't pop up. You're at everything. And we've talked about this before, where you do a lot of events and it can get a lot sometimes, right?
For sure. And I'm not immune to it. And as the years go by, I remember someone telling me I'd burn out, and I thought that was crazy. And now I'm understanding how to take clarity breaks. But yeah, we love our social events. We love the chambers, and we just love being involved. And for us, it's that community aspect. And it was so scary to walk in all these established business. Imposter syndrome is so huge. People didn't talk about it till recently, but now I hear so many entrepreneurs talk about it. We all face it. And there might be some that don't. I don't like to generalize, but people face imposter syndrome. And it's just, you know what you know in your industry. That person knows what they know in their industry. And if you're in the same industry, why not ask that person what you can learn from them? Some people are going to say no. I've shot quite a few emails to big people out there that have said to shoot your emails after and they don't reply. Shout out to you. You know who you are over there, but that's totally fine. That's what they've chosen to do. But that's also what I've chosen to do. When I grow and get to that level, I'm either going to make that promise that I commit to or not commit to, right? Because that's saying yes and doing too much, I've found has really created a gap for me. We were talking earlier about, helping young people and taking them on to do all these meetings and stuff like that, and about businesses, and they only wanted to work 9 to 5. Well, hey, that's not going to go. So if you don't want that 9 to 5 and you want that grind, you're going to be way better off at going to a job or a corporation. You can create a lifestyle in entrepreneurship for sure, and you can create that where you have that freedom, but it doesn't start with that. And I don't know an entrepreneur that start with that, unless you're a crypto person that got lucky early. But I also think that's what you see online, and it's happened to very few.
For sure. I think imposter syndrome happens to every single entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met any entrepreneur that was like, I've never had imposter syndrome, because how could you not? Everyone comes from an expertise. That's what makes you an entrepreneur.
Right.
That's why we do it. But at the same time, when you sign on that dotted line to be an entrepreneur, you're also signing up to be the marketing person, which may not be your forte, the accountant, which may not be your forte.
Not mine.
Not mine.
Yeah.
That's not mine
Not
either.
mine,
That's
no.
not, yeah. I was
Shout
like,
out to Sam.
first thing to hire, accountant and bookkeeper. Anyways, that's a whole separate story.
Yeah. Whole episode on that.
Whole episode on how I messed up my finances.
Yeah.
So when you sign on the dotted line, you're committing to so many different hats, and it's impossible for one person to be an expert in all of those hats. So that's when that imposter syndrome comes in, because you're like, am I doing it all? Am I doing it well? What if that guy's doing it better than me? I think that's just very natural, right?
100%. We think everybody has to be our client. Everybody does not have to be our client. And there's
Right.
lots of businesses out there. You need to have what your client is for you.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going to service and do well. And there's a lot of those clients out there. So you might as well create a great business doing that and being able to serve those people, because there's someone that serves a lot of people, and that's Facebook Mark Zuckerberg, and he doesn't look too happy having to go to Congress every week. It wouldn't be fun to have that responsibility either. So you got to look at, are you creating a lifestyle business? Are you creating a business where you hire a bunch of people? There's no wrong way to do entrepreneurship too. And I think we see that a lot. Oh, they just have a lifestyle business. Well, that's freaking great. That's what they love 5 to 9 to do that, and 9 to 5 to work at, let's say, one of the hospitals or something like that, because that's what they enjoy. So there's the types of entrepreneurship as well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about clients, because you briefly touched on that. Have you ever fired a client before?
Most definitely. In the last few months, we've reestablished what you grow with is not definitely what you need to continue with. And I think for me, a lot of it was my ego and holding on to people that might not necessarily make sense to us or make sense to our business. So we've moved on for a lot of that. We know the clients that are not what we call our right fit and we won't accept now. So why the heck do we still have them on our client list or roster? So we're right now going through, and we found another partner who's absolutely great. We'll meet their needs. I was very lucky. A lot of people grew with Joseph Apps himself, you know what I mean? Not Joe Apps, the company. So it's difficult when they call in and don't get Joseph Apps himself anymore, but I also don't have the time to do that. So now I've made that choice that I need to separate, and the business is the business and I am myself.
That's
and
tough, I
can't,
bet, hey?
It's so tough.
Yeah.
But I can't be working 24/7. I can't be doing this. I can't be at every event answering every email doing that, because I'm not there. We have a whole team that's there to take care of it. I'm just taking their job from them. And at the end of the day, they're just looking at me that I don't trust them to do their job. I brought them in to do this and help, and now I'm taking it over. So it's been a hard transitional time. That's what I've found the hardest in the last few years.
Well, what's hard is that the company is you. You are Joe Apps.
Put my damn name on it.
Put your damn name on it. And what are the chances your last name is Apps, right?
I know. Thanks, my parents and Steve Jobs, right? That's for sure.
Seriously, you are so closely tied to your business. When you're attending events, you're building yourself as a brand. And your slogan is "Get a Joe today."
Yeah, don't
right?
go alone, get a Joe today. Yeah, which is fun, right?
Which is super fun. But do people get mad when they call and they don't get Joe Apps?
Not anymore. And we were having that for that's
Really?
why when you
Okay.
had the firing question, and some we've got ahead of and some we should have got ahead of, and they fired us instead. And then you're really left with a sour taste in your mouth, because we should have left you that, you know what I mean? And it's just because you didn't take action, right? And everything I look back, it's because we didn't take action. EOS is the greatest things, because everything that you say you don't want in your business will make its way out of your business. But make sure that's what you don't want, because it will happen. That's been the greatest and worst thing about EOS, because we've had a lot of turnover with great staff that grew with us, but we've switched the vision, we've switched that, and some things work great and some haven't. So we've had turnover, and I never knew what good turnover was. What do you mean good turnover? I'm a failure as a freaking leader. We've had people leave, you know what I mean? And I take that to heart because it's so much investment, but sometimes they're just not the right people, and we're doing them a distraction, holding them back. I had one guy I drove home every day for the year, and just holding on to that because I did external things than the actual role that person was for the job. And I made a failure as a leader, making that decision that he could grow, right? So now not only am I holding the company back, holding myself back, but also holding this person back. So the best thing that you can do sometimes is let people grow, because they need to grow outside of there, and they just don't have the ability to do it themselves. So that's been the fun part.
I think that's such a great leadership philosophy, is that sometimes your business happens, what I take a look at in in phases. And so when you're in one chapter of your business, you have the right team to grow within that chapter. But sometimes people either outgrow that business, maybe your business outgrows that person. And at that point, you just have to liberate them so your business can grow too. And it's a tough decision for leaders because you want to hang on to people forever, but you
No,
can't.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like an accountant with technology, right? We're very ingrained in your business, so you don't
Yeah.
want us to go. So it's got to be up to us to step up and say, hey, you know what? This person makes more sense. You want a personal approach? You need to go here because Dave has time where the team, they all have time, but you might get Chantel, you might get Comey, you might get Amber, you might get this other person that's
Yeah.
working there. You're not going to get the same person every single time, which if you're a bigger organization with 25, 50 people, you don't mind. You just want your device fixed. You know what I mean? If you're a small firm, about 5 people, you want that more personal approach. And I get that. And we do deliver a personal approach. All of our team is absolutely personable and lovely. And if you call in, you'll have a wonderful experience.
I have
can
had
guarantee that.
experience.
So,
Did I tell
yeah,
you?
exactly. No.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even. So you guys do IT for DTBY.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I got to speak to Amber, who helped me set up
Amazing.
my email last week. So
That's so good.
amazing. And one of the things that I felt when I was speaking with Amber was that she was going to find a solution for me to solve it. That's really special. I really felt cared for. There was follow-up. It was a really nice experience, I gotta say.
Amazing.
You know? Shout out to Amber.
I'm glad you didn't tell me that one before because this is genuine. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
It was great. That level of care, you can definitely hear it in their voices that they just want to help.
And Amber's new, and I think this goes to EOS, and what contributes to it is we now have a people analyzer and a get it, want it, and capacity to do it. So we're now analyzing our people when they come in from the beginning to make sure they align and not get into these positions where it's a year later. And you know what? We didn't share the same core values. Why were we trying to put a square in a peg hole? Right?
Okay, so let's talk about the big topic, AI.
AI, yeah, the big one.
The big one.
That's for sure.
So adoption rate is insane compared to Instagram, compared to Facebook, compared to all the social outlets. It's the fastest growing platform there is. And I use it on a daily basis.
Why not? It's helpful.
And so tell us your thoughts on AI from a technology standpoint, a security standpoint. Give us your knowledge on that. Because the first time you talked about this, I was like, yes, I really appreciated your viewpoint on it.
Yeah, there's some really cool things in AI, right? Like it's a great creation tool. It does some really amazing things, but it's also a tool that we haven't fully thought out, right? Like you were saying, the internet, I believe it was 21 years to adoption, cell phone 14 years. Like we've had time to think about all these things. We've had time to implement stuff. Yes, some stuff not the best, some stuff very good, but we've had time to implement AI. It's just been 4 months. People adapted ChatGPT. Microsoft went to Copilot, Google went to Gemini, all these other sub ones that developers you haven't even heard of are doing some really crazy and cool stuff. But the security hasn't been thought out from a business perspective, right? I've seen a lot of kind of concerning things lately where Copilot's just been turned on in a business and now people can export all the HR contracts or they can get all the financials or stuff like that because Copilot's a database learning everything. And if you're not telling it where not to look and not to learn, well, it's going through absolutely everything, which creates another really scary point, which we're just starting to see now. The data that AI collects is so condensed and easy to take and so much more. Let's say before I got 3,000 PDFs from your computer. I'd have to go through them slowly, analyze them all, read them all myself. I might get bored as a hacker. Humans are lazy. Now I can get AI to go through all of that. So those 3,000 documents I've gone through, I've looked for passwords, I pulled your credit cards. Now I have a small little file with everything that relates to you in one place, where before it took work. So we've turned on this AI, we've done this all, and we made our data so accessible and so clean, but it's so clean that if the wrong person gets that, what do you do? Where do you keep it safe? How do you know how to keep it clean? And if you have a Windows computer, they've just turned Copilot on for you. You've accepted the terms and conditions, but do you know what it's actually doing and grabbing? Because you're putting your bank number in, you're putting your SIN number, you're uploading documents to lawyers and stuff like this. It's collecting all of that. So now where you had to make it work for the hacker, you've really just made it work for the hacker instead, right?
So you've given them all the information like
in a tiny little data skit, right? Which now I can compress the size because I only have the data I need. Not do I have to upload your hard drive now. I just have to upload that AI file that has everything about you. Those are the things that we need to keep safe and learn about a accounts online, identification online. We need technology companies to do a very good job. This is my account and this is the security that needs to be on. Agreeing with that, not just like, hey, I get a free account, so do whatever with my data. And I think that's where we're a little hard in North America, because we don't have data laws like Europe, like Asia, and all these other countries that it's very stringent on what you do with the data. Like, you have to be careful. So security from an AI perspective is the one thing we're not thinking of.
Right. In your prediction, what do you think will be the hard lessons we will learn from that security standpoint?
Oh God, I got some scary doomsday theories in
Let's
mind, but
do it.
I think the biggest one is when people see how easy their data is to take out of their computer. Copilot and AI is still learning, still pulling all of that stuff. So this is like 6 to 8 months when the data packs are all done and uploaded and it's all sorted properly. But I think the biggest thing is people were scared when their Facebook stuff got taken in that Cambridge Analytica scam back in 2012 or whenever it was. This is 12 times that on crack.
For
it's
sure.
like not just your Facebook, now your Instagram, now this. If you like the coupon app, your buying decisions, your thinking decisions, your behavioral patterns, you'll get to the point where who's making the decision? Is it you or is it the AI? And I think that's the scary point, is when does one take over the other? And where are we at in the life of that?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think that's the scary
crazy
doomsday theory of how that takes over. But another really cool one I heard is we have a lot of organizations adopting AI right now, and they think it's going to solve all their problems. If your accounting processes suck, they're going to suck. If your operations process suck, they're going to suck. AI is not going to improve this. It's a very good tool to help out, though. So I got explained it very good by Microsoft the other day. And basically they said, think about it as a worker. Like, you're not going to come in and just tell Jill on her first day to go do the job. There's absolutely no way. No, you're going to give Jill processes to do her job. You're going to walk her through it. You're going to train her. Exactly. So it's the training and prompting. So what a normal person can do right now if they want to stay ahead is learn prompting in AI. And this is what I say in a lot of my talks right now. Go to Udemy, go to any of those online courses, go to YouTube, start learning prompting, because that's the best thing you can do if you want to stay ahead. And how do you prompt and work with AI? With that thought in mind, it will help fix stuff, of course, but it's not going to create. You still have to be the creative, because I personally think once we lose that creative part, that's when we are one with the AI, right? So
that's when they start to take over.
We stop that creative ability. So that's what the biggest thing we can teach kids and youth and stuff like that, which is why I love to be partnered with Dare to Be Youth and organizations like that, is give kids creativity, teach them creativity.
I think it's just incredible. Your thought process around AI, what we should be looking out for. What's your company doing to stay ahead of the AI game, and how are you educating your clients?
We're staying so on top of it, right? So we run AI in our business, but we've run all the security protocols. We have a zero trust AI environment. We've gone through all the best practices to roll it out and stuff like that. But we also only have it rolled out at the leadership level as well. So we don't have it in our operations team and stuff, because there's also not a huge use case for it right now. It helps us in our leadership level from recording meetings on Teams and stuff like that, so I can be very attentive to the meeting instead of writing my notes or action items and not paying attention. It does some really good stuff on just like making your email replies more juicy. So I've got the creative stuff. Someone probably wants more than 2 lines out of me. So how do you juice that up and just make that sound a little better? And we've also used it for like tone totality. So to make sure if clients are getting upset, or we can get ahead of tickets before they sprawl that way. Sometimes work better than others, but those are the ways that we're using it. But it's locked down in the jobs environment, in the job server, and the jobs tenant. That's what's very important, is we have it in our sphere. So you got to keep your AI in your sphere. Where if I just logged on to ChatGPT on a free account and did all this that way, it's in the world sphere, right? So now I might be able to pull this private RFP you had, or these private financial files, etc. So you've done a great financial analysis, but
it's accessible to everybody,
right? So that's the biggest thing. But even ChatGPT now has a paid subscription. You can have your own little sandbox, I like to call them, because everyone knows you play in your own sandbox.
And is that protected?
Yes,
more
exactly.
So?
More, I like to, protected is always a loose word I like to use in these cloud services. I do think Microsoft has an amazing grasp on it. I do think Google does as well. Can people do better? Yes, I think they can do better. ChatGPT, I just don't think it's been around long enough to know they have to use someone else's server. So how do you protect yourself while using other stuff, right? And that's what we battle in our company too, because we rely on a lot of third-party services, like what happened with CrowdStrike, right? We personally don't use CrowdStrike. We use their competitor, but we are not immune to what happened because we
sure.
use a program that's out of our control. So now these poor IT companies are probably getting screamed at for a program they resold,
Right.
which is doing the right thing. CrowdStrike's an incredible program.
Yeah.
There was just an accident, right? With
Right.
I don't know if you can call shutting down half the world an accident or what they're going to
It's a
call
big
that or what
accident. Yeah.
happens. But
Yeah.
also, I think the other problem is with the states, we don't have much legislation. He said
sure.
sorry, which I get as a
Yeah.
CEO, very respectable. At least he was online. He was tweeting the whole time going through. But still, sorry, but where are these checks and balances? And I think we need to be more as a culture that invests and puts so much in technology, really showing what we're doing to keep that safe as well.
Yeah. And that's really where I think it's stark reminders that technology still has a lot of flaws, that we become so dependent on it that as soon as it shuts down, it is a large ripple effect. It is a tsunami ripple effect,
100%,
right?
and it affects so much stuff.
Yeah. And at the same token, we're becoming more and more reliant on technology as well. So it's like,
So much so.
yeah, it's constant push and pull in that regard as well. Very, very fascinating. So I usually like to end with a segment called Get to Know Your CEO,
Cool.
which is just rapid fire questions.
Fun.
Are you a pizza or a burger guy?
I'm a pizza.
Pizza?
Yeah, pizza. Dip,
All the
though.
way.
Dip. If there's no dip, no pizza. Yeah.
If there's
So
no
I guess
dip,
I'm a
you're
dip
burger
guy. Maybe that's the
This
best
is
way
where
to
you're
explain
pushing
it.
the boundaries because that wasn't the question.
Exactly. Yeah, there we go. See, look at me.
Okay, perfect. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh my God, I was a night owl for the longest time, but I read Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club, and I've been trying to tap my membership into that.
Does it work?
It works if you can do it, for sure. I had 2 amazing weeks there, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Really?
But yeah, long nights of networking and drinking can hinder that sometimes. So got to balance that out so I can get up at the 5 a.m.
Oh my, 5 a.m. is a very early.
But
you
it's
get a lot
amazing.
done.
It's beautiful. It doesn't even make sense how you get so much done. And the energy and the flow state you have, there's some kind of magic in it. I don't get it. And if you read that book, it explains it in this weird fun story way. But
cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to, you'll have kids. You'll naturally wake up at 5. So
yeah, exactly. Not there yet. So
you have time.
Yeah.
My daughter decided to wake up between 2 and 5 a.m. last night. So just wide awake, turned on her lights. Mama, I want to read a book. I'm like, it's 3 in the morning.
It's not the time to read a book.
Not the time. Oh, this is a good one. Are you a share food kind of person, or this is my own dish, get your fingers off my dish?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think in the middle, it depends. If I'm really hungry, then don't freaking touch my dish or you lose your fingers. I think I'd be more like a don't touch my margarita kind of person. But
fair.
Yeah,
Nobody
no, I
should
think
touch-
we're pretty fair to share food.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll share food when we go out. Ooh, this is a good one. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A cop, a police officer.
Really?
Yeah, for a really long time, wanted to be a police officer.
Interesting. What kind of took you off that track?
Since we're on the Fearless Entrepreneur podcast, I sold weed as a kid and I got caught for it. So you can't be a cop when you get caught for selling weed. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, really, it's just such a childhood thing to do.
And now I could go to the States and buy it, but they won't let me in the States. It's like an absolutely
all?
wacky story. No, not till 2027. It's a whole big thing. I was supposed to go to Disney with a bunch of my family members this year, and I disappointed my mom and aunt. Sorry, guys, but there's nothing I could do there. I tried.
2027, right?
2027. So, yeah, that's when we'll be, other than Disney, we do have a lot of events in the States, and I send my team, so it's actually built into our core values because we don't want the team to wonder in 8 months why they're just not going to any of the events in the States. You're going to figure out eventually.
Yeah.
And it's part of my story, right? It's part of it. It's public record, so you can go find it and see that stuff.
Yeah.
How I got to being an entrepreneur is I really had no choice, right? Google and Microsoft at the time wouldn't take you for weed because it wasn't cool then. Now they want you to smoke weed while working for Google and Microsoft, so it's the difference.
In your face.
Exactly.
Take that off
Gotcha
his
now.
record. I think that's so incredible. I think that's also a different way how it trajected you into your career too, because
100%.
you're like, now what do I do? And technology has always been your thing. And look at that. You're Joe Apps now, right?
Like I said, I like to push the boundaries.
Push those boundaries. That's all the questions that I have for you.
So exciting. Thank you.
Absolutely. And everyone can visit Joe at joeapps.ca. Him and his wonderful team are on there. You have an incredible team, incredible culture, DTBY, which is Dare to Be Youth. And how are you tied to that organization?
So we've supported Dare to Be Youth for years. We absolutely love their mission, their value. And then over the next few months, we're getting them aligned with their cybersecurity cybersecurity and being their technology partner to power Dare to Be Youth for the next 3 years to make sure that they have the technology they need to grow and expand in this time of advancement, because it's so important what they do. And the mission that Shannon's been on for the last, I believe, 7 to 8 plus years now, at least at this point in time, she's done so many incredible things. So lucky to have met her from the chambers, getting involved, right, giving back to the community.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for being here today, being a fearless entrepreneur. I think your story is incredible, and every time I meet you at the events, I'm always inspired by something that you say or something that you do. So I really want you to take that in, and I think you're so smart. You have such a long road ahead of you, and we're so happy to have had you here today.
Thank you so much for having me and bringing this amazing platform for people to share their stories and just share experiences with, so entrepreneurs can get that.
Woohoo! All right. Thanks so much.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fearless Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. For more insights and resources to help your business grow, visit evolveconsultingco.com. Let's continue to turn entrepreneurial dreams into reality. Hang around for our next episode where we feature another bold Canadian entrepreneur. Until next time, stay fearless.